All right, folks, not long now until race day. The race day is hectic, so some might even call it madness. So when we get up to give the pre-race meeting speech in a time where there's butterflies fluttering in your stomach and your nerves are going bananas and your focus is not 100%, after watching this video, you'll know what's going on, when, where you need to be, what the rules of the event are, and how to be kind and courteous to each other. So first off, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing the TriMuskokan, for training for many months, and for many of you, choosing the TriMuskokan as your very first triathlon ever. Hopefully we set the bar really high and other events that you do is going to just simply pale in comparison. So as a group of passionate triathletes that make up TriMuskokan Triathlon Club, we take a lot of pride in our event. And as a community, we want to thank you for making the effort to come from wherever you're coming to be a part of our community and helping us put on this amazing event year after year. Every year we sit down with all the feedback in hopes that we can tweak the event a little bit and to make it nothing short of the best damn short course triathlon in Ontario, if not Canada, if not the world. But we will try, might be stretching it, but we're going to try super hard to achieve it. You may or may not know this, but the TriMuskokan is a not-for-profit event. This means that everyone involved in the organization and the execution of the TriMuskokan volunteer their time. We have some amazing sponsors that support our event as well, and at the end of the day, your registration fee and our sponsors' contributions help us raise money for the Movement for Strength, Conditioning, and Active Lifestyles for Everyone project, or the Muscle Project. And this is going to see the installation of publicly accessible fitness parks and stations throughout our community to help our community members pursue active and healthy lifestyles while removing as many physical and socioeconomic barriers as possible. So, now onto all of the important information. Athlete check-in. Athlete check-in takes place on Saturday starting at 4 p.m., no sooner, because we have to set everything up. And it's going to take place on the steps at Huntsville High School. We then take a break for the evening, go to sleep, then we wake up and do it all over again at Sunday starting at 6 a.m. sharp. When you arrive at Athlete Check-In, come on up and see one of our amazing volunteers, tell them your name, and they're going to go find your name on a list and then grab your athlete bag. If you're picking up the race bag for someone else, just let that person know at the check-in desk who you're picking it up for, and we're going to give it to you. We work on the honor system, and once you have their bag of goodies, you are responsible for them. In the athlete bag, you're going to find your swim cap, your swag, your timing chip, a bike sticker to put on your bike, and your race bib. Okay? As we ordered the shirts a long time ago, based on the sizes that you put down on your registration, we can't exchange sizes. Your race bib is in there as well. The only time you need to wear your bib is during the run. On the bike, it's strongly suggested that you wear it, but it's not required. You're going to need your bib to get your post-race food, your beer or non-alcoholic beverage, and you're going to need it to get into the transition zone to bring your biking gear out after the race. The transition volunteers require that you match your bib and the bike sticker in order to leave the transition zone with all of your gear. So there's two ways to wear your bib during the race. The first is to use safety pins and put it on your shirt, but a nicer way is to use a race bib belt. If you don't have one, we're going to be selling awesome TriMuskokan ones at the swag tent in the expo. The nice thing with the race belt is that you can spin it to put it on the back during the bike if you're going to wear it, and then spin it back to put it on the front during the run. Your swim cap's going to be in your bag, athlete bag too, and it has your race number on it. You need to wear this cap for the swim because it has your number on it. If you've got a latex allergy, we suggest that you wear a silicone one underneath the latex cap. So we need you to wear the swim cap as we line everybody up at the swim start in numerical order for the time trial or interval start. For those of you who have some questions and you want a short tour of the race area, I'm going to be hosting a little walk around on Saturday at 5. Just meet me at the roundabout by the finish line. If you have any last minute items that you may need, like gels, lube, or bike gear, or if your bike needs a last minute tweak or tune up, Muskoka Bicycle Pro Shop will be there in the expo on Saturday afternoon and Sunday during the setup and the event. We have a race expo where we have some of our sponsors who are going to have tents, but we also have a TriMuskokan info and swag tent. At this tent, you can have all of your questions answered, look at race course maps, And there's also that swag shop where you can buy some commemorative TriMuskokan items like race belts, travel mugs, shirts, beer glasses, and mugs from previous years. On Sunday morning, when you wake up out of bed, the first thing you're going to do is put that timing chip on your ankle so you don't forget it. There's some on-site parking that's first come, first served, and some of the areas are landlocked, which means that if you park there, you're not going to be able to leave until the bike course is cleared of athletes. There's lots of residential street parking, but the best thing to do is to look at the parking areas on our parking map, which you can find on the website. Make sure that you have your bike sticker on your bike, as that plus your bib is your ticket for getting your bike out of the transition zone. The best part, I think, about the race is the train. We're the only race that has a train taking you to the swim start. So check the schedule for when the trains are departing the train station. If you miss a train, you're going to need to walk down to the swim start, which takes about 10 minutes. Each train takes 100 people, and the priority is for athletes. If there's space on the train just before it leaves, then spectators can fill up the empty spaces. If somebody's got mobility issues, they can take the train. I get it. For the short course, the first train leaves at 7:05, the next one at 7:23, and then the last train leaves at 7:40, but that's cutting it close. For the try, the first train leaves the station at 8:45, and then the second one leaves at 9:02. Make sure you have your swim cap, your timing chip, your goggles, and your wetsuit if you're going to wear one before leaving the transition zone to get to the swim start. Now, onto the transition zone. The transition zone opens at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, no sooner. And you can rack your bike anywhere you want. There's a short course section and there's a try section. But rack your bike on alternating sides so it leaves enough space between the bikes. If you're too close to somebody, one of the volunteers are going to come and tell you kindly to move your bike to give somebody a little bit more space. You can rack your bike either using the saddle or both sides of the handlebars. The transition area must not interfere with another athlete's equipment in the transition area. So keep your stuff neat and tidy in a small space beside your bike. The kind of rule of thumb is no bigger than the average size of a beach towel. If things spread out everywhere, a volunteer will kindly ask you to tidy it up, or they might ask you to move things once you're down at the swim start. So if you want to have it the way you lay it out, make sure to do it in as small of a space as possible. And you must not mark your position in transition area like streamers or balloons or anything like that. Only equipment used during the race can be left in transition, and all other equipment needs to be removed, given to somebody to take care of, or put at the edges of the transition zone up against the barricades. But remember, you're responsible for your own equipment, and we're not going to ensure the safety of your equipment during this race. Like I said, when you're setting up, bikes must be alternated, one versus the other. So one's facing this way, one's facing the other way. And if we don't follow that rule, bikes are going to get jammed up, and we're going to have the volunteers are going to ask you to move things. So the transition zone closes at 7:40 a.m. for the short course event, which means that you have to be at the transition area at that point and be at your respective areas shortly thereafter. Duathlon's going to be starting at the high school steps and the triathlon at Camp Kitchen. At the swim start, there's going to be a truck where you can put things in a labeled bag like the one you got at the check-in, which actually already has your bib number on it. So put your stuff in the bag, make sure it's labeled, and tie the handles in a knot and put it in the truck. Loose items aren't going to be acceptable. After the swim start, we're going to drive everything back to the transition zone and unload it there on the pavement for you to look at and look for your bag after the race. If you want to avoid this hassle, then just give it to one of your spectators to hang on to for the day. During the race, when you come up to the end of the swim up as close as you can to the swim exit. There's some volunteers that are going to be there to help you stand up and get out of the water. Climb up the hill, turn right, where there's going to be a team of wetsuit strippers awaiting you, and they're going to help you get out of your wetsuit if you want. If you don't, run the way to the transition. But when you get to your transition spot, take your wetsuit and your swim gear, but keep it compact. Don't spread it out everywhere. But prior to taking your bike off the rack, you have to have your helmet on and clipped, and then run or walk your bike to the mountain line. But more of that later. When you get back, you have to leave your helmet clipped on before you before you put your bike onto the rack, and then you can take your helmet off. So super, super, super important. The transition zone will not open until the last athlete from either of the try or the short courses leaves the transition zone for the run course, which is around 11:15, but we're not guaranteeing that. So the swim. Starting around 20 minutes before the swim start, we're going to get everybody lined up in numerical order on the grassy embankment of Camp Kitchen. 10 minutes before the race, everybody needs to be out of the water, in line and in the right position. 5 minutes before the race, we're going to start to bring people into the water towards the start line. Now, once the race starts, short course athletes will leave 5 athletes at a time every 15 seconds. Try athletes will leave 1 at a time every 5 seconds. Both groups are leaving from an in-water shallow start position. Swim anywhere you want, but all the athletes must go around the last buoy on the left. Short course athletes need to swim and keep the buoys in Fairy Lake on your left. So that is going to be the one thing that's different between the try. So you swim with the buoys on your left, but once you're in the river, swim wherever you want. Volunteers, like I said, are going to be there at the swim exit. Swim right up to the swim exit, climb the hill, turn right, and there's the wetsuit strippers there. Run over to transition. Now, onto the bike. Once you have your helmet clip, take the bike off the rack, jog it over to the mountain line where you can get on your bike and head out onto the bike course. You must not wear earphones or have music playing while out on the bike. You need to hear what's going on around you. Sorry, there's all kinds of mosquitoes. And that way, it's safe. Once you're out on the course, it is still your responsibility to stick to the rules of the road and stick to the side of the road. Ride in a single file unless you're passing and share the road with the vehicles. If you share the road with them, they're going to share it with you. This is a no drafting event. That means you need to have 2 bike lengths between you and the bike in front of you unless you're passing, and you have 30 seconds to pass. So if you're being passed, you need to drop back and now be 2 bike lengths behind the bike that just passed you. Now, a nice thing to do, if you're going to go and pass somebody, which is always going to be on the left-hand side, then yell left as you approach them. You must ride single file at all times unless you're passing. And like I said, stick to the side of the road so vehicles can pass you safely. And additionally, by staying to the side, then you're not going to be blocking another athlete who might be trying to pass you. Riding double width or 3 across out of this window will incur a significant penalty on the first warning and a disqualification after the second one. There's a number of motorcycles and Triathlon Ontario officials that are on the course to make sure that you're following the rules. Additionally, there are 2 technical vehicles from Muskoka Bicycle Pro Shop on the course if you need them. If someone needs help, please tell one of those vehicles if you see them. A good old hand signal is a good way to literally point them in the right direction. OPP and volunteers are at major intersections as well as the turnaround. Please notify them if anyone has technical issues or if there's a crash so they can notify us. Be careful and slow down as you are coming down the final hill towards transition. The road is not the greatest, and if you need to get off your bike before the dismount line. So just be really, really careful. Leave your helmet clipped and walk, jog, run your bike over to your transition spot. And once your bike is racked, then you can unclip your helmet. Now, onto the run course. The short course is a double loop run. So when you're coming down the Forbes Hill right by the train tracks, there's a dividing line down the center of the road. When you're completing your first lap, stick to the right and head out onto the second loop. Now, if you are completing your second lap, then stick to the left where you can head towards the finish line. Now, for the tri athletes and the first leg of the duathlon, you're going to have to watch for your turnaround location, which is just past the aid station. There's a sign there, and there will be a volunteer there who will recognize your bib color, and they'll help tell you to turn around at that right spot. Again, headphones are not allowed. Ooh, the mosquitoes are just killing me. Again, headphones not allowed. Music on your phone is not allowed. We have plenty of music out there to keep you entertained. There is a self-serve water station at the top of the infamous hill, and Proactive Rehab is hosting the aid station on the run course where they're going to serve water and F2C nutrition hydrolyte. There's going to be a couple of canoes on either side of the aid station that we kindly ask you to put your cup in once you have finished drinking it or tossing it over your head. A couple of other things to remember. Littering. It is 120% not tolerated. If you're caught littering at any point of the race, you're going to be disqualified from the race. We have photographers on the swim exit, at the swim exit, in transition, on the bike, on the run, and at the finish line. So smile big, strike a pose, make it look like you're having fun, even if you're hurting deep down inside. And remember, above all, this is an event about being the best version of yourself that you can be at that very moment. So give it your all. And we want you to have an incredible amount of fun as well. So smile lots. High five spectators and volunteers, encourage each other, and give us that best finish line pose at the finish line so we can catch it on film for you. After you cross the finish line, a volunteer is going to take your timing chip off your ankle, give you a bottle of Muskoka Springs water, and your finisher beer glass. Once you have caught your breath, head over to the Canvas Brewing Company tent and get your post-race beer or non-alcoholic beverage. If you look like you're 25 years or younger, you're going to need to present your ID to get your beer. As the venue's not licensed, we kindly ask you to take your beer home with you and enjoy it in your new beer glass. We hope that you take a picture of it and post it up on social media and tag us and our event so that we know that you are relishing in your accomplishment. Reactivate Muskoka will also be in the expo area where some of their team will be offering up short post-race massages and active stretching sessions. Chef Freddie and his team will serve up a delicious plate of food for you to enjoy courtesy of Bullock's Independent Grocer and Henrietta's Pine Bakery. The award ceremony will commence somewhere around noon. Lastly, and probably the most important thing, and I've already said it, it's super, super important. When your day is done, you can get your bike and things out of transition, but under no circumstances will any athlete be allowed in transition to get their belongings until the last try or short course athlete is off of the bike course and out on the run. No exceptions. This is for the safety of everyone and to ensure that everyone is accounted for returning from the bike. So that's it. I hope you guys are super stoked and excited, and we can't wait to see you. So have a great week, and we will see you next weekend as you get ready to become a TriMuskokan.